She laughed. Not a nervous giggle. Not the kind of laugh that slips out when you're caught off guard or trying to defuse a tense moment. No, it was sharp, full-bellied, unkind. She laughed like I'd just told the world's most ridiculous joke. "I know the truth," I'd said, my hand flat on the dining table, voice trembling just enough to make the room hush. And she laughed. We were at our usual Sunday dinner with two of her friends, Julie and Greg, plus her sister, Mara, the kind of dinner where people drink wine they can't pronounce and share updates no one asked for. I'd cooked. She had chosen the playlist. We'd lit candles like it was some kind of weekly ritual we both still believed in. But this Sunday, I wasn't interested in rituals. I was interested in clarity. "I know everything," I said again, quieter this time. My voice felt like it belonged to someone else. "I know where you were on Thursday night. I know who you were with. I know what you said." Mara snorted into her wine glass. Greg stopped mid-bite. Julie shifted, unsure of whether to smile or brace for impact. But it was my wife, my Rachel, who stole the moment. She leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms, and laughed. "Oh, come on," she said between chuckles, dabbing her eyes like I'd just cracked a joke. "Are you serious right now?" She glanced around the table, inviting the others into the absurdity of my accusation. "You think I'm cheating on you?" she said with an arched brow. "You think I'd be that cliché?" I didn't answer. I just reached into my coat pocket and placed my phone on the table. "Do you remember what you said in the car, Rachel? Thursday night, around 10:45 p.m. You were in the passenger seat. You were laughing then, too." Her smile faltered, just slightly, but I caught it. I always catch the small changes. "I don't know what game you're playing." "It's not a game," I said, tapping the screen. "My Dashcam. It records inside the car, not just the road. I bought it after that near accident in March. You said you thought it was overkill." The phone screen lit up. A quiet pause. Then, her voice, unmistakable, filled the room. "He still thinks I'm working late. Poor guy. I could be naked in someone else's car, and he'd probably text me to bring home Ty." Then a man's voice. "You really should just tell him. Or let me do it." Then her again. "No. He'll break. He's soft. And if he breaks, I have to start over. You don't just throw away a man like that. He's useful." Greg muttered something under his breath. Julie's eyes widened. Mara just stared, jaw slightly slack. I didn't look at Rachel. I didn't need to. I heard the chair scrape before I saw her stand. She didn't say a word. She didn't come home that night. It wasn't supposed to go like this. I'd practiced it in my head for days, maybe weeks. I thought I'd confront her alone. Just her and me, in our kitchen, with no audience and no wine glasses to catch tears. But I broke. It started with a lie I didn't want to believe. A late shift she forgot to lie about the next day. Then it was the unfamiliar cologne in our car, the one I never wear. Then it was the missing receipts, the strange Uber charges, the sudden interest in evening yoga. I told myself it was nothing. I made excuses for her. I wanted to believe in the version of Rachel who used to fall asleep on my chest whispering things like, "You're my favorite part of life." I wanted that woman back. But she was gone. And the one who replaced her didn't even bother hiding the betrayal well. The dashcam wasn't meant to be a trap. I installed it after a reckless driver almost sideswiped me on 85. But that little black lens picked up more than traffic. It picked up her voice, her laughter, her deceit, all lit by the glow of someone else's dashboard. I replayed that audio 6 times before I let myself believe it. Then 6 more times to let it sink in. Then once more before dinner, just to make sure I didn't imagine it. After she left the table, nobody said a word for a full minute. Eventually, Mara got up too. She grabbed her purse without looking at me and left. Greg cleared his throat and asked, "You okay, man?" I didn't answer. Julie stayed behind, awkwardly trying to tidy up, her hands shaking as she stacked plates. I sat there, staring at my phone. The glow of the screen faded, but the silence it left behind rang in my ears like a siren. Rachel still hadn't texted. She hadn't called. No apology, no explanation. Just absence. Cold, undeniable absence. That night, I laid in our bed alone, every breath echoing in the hollow space beside me. Her pillow smelled like lavender and lies. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared at the ceiling, numb. Sometimes silence doesn't feel like peace. Sometimes it feels like being buried alive. The next morning, her keys were still on the hook. That might seem small, but I stared at them for a full 5 minutes. She always took them, even if she wasn't coming home. But this time, she left in such a rush she forgot, or didn't care. I didn't go to work. I didn't call in. I just sat in the kitchen, watching sunlight spill through the blinds, pooling onto the floor like melted glass. Her mug, the green one with the tiny chip on the handle, was still in the drying rack. I wondered if she'd come back to get it. Around 10 a.m., I got a message from her sister. She's staying with a friend. She needs time. That was it. No apology. No explanation. Just a sentence carved out of stone. The silence that followed became its own kind of noise. I didn't know if I was supposed to wait or move. I didn't know if I was a husband or a stranger now. By day 2, I'd packed a suitcase. I hadn't decided to leave yet, but it felt better having the option. By day 3, the media files from the Dashcam were backed up twice, once on a hard drive and once on the cloud. I wasn't looking to ruin her. I just didn't want to be gaslit if she tried to spin this into something it wasn't. By day 5, I stopped looking at the door every time I heard a car. And by day 7, she came back. It was late, nearly midnight. I heard her heels click up the path before I saw her shadow stretch across the front window. She didn't knock. She still had her code. The door opened with a mechanical beep, like nothing had changed. But everything had. She stood in the entryway like she didn't know what came next. She looked tired. Not broken, not even particularly sorry. Just tired, like she'd spent a week rehearsing lines that now felt wrong. I didn't mean to laugh, she said finally, setting her purse down. I was shocked. I didn't think you. I didn't know you were capable of something like that. It wasn't an apology. It was almost admiration. You didn't think I'd find out? I asked. No, she said honestly. And that answer told me more than any monologue ever could. She sat across from me at the dining table, the same spot she'd occupied when she laughed at me a week ago. The room still smelled faintly of rosemary from the chicken I'd cooked that night, like time had frozen mid-betrayal. I never meant for it to go that far, she said, staring at the table. It started with little things. A drink after work. A long text. I told myself it wasn't cheating if I didn't cross a line. But you did. She nodded. Yeah, I did. And by then, it was too late. I waited. I wanted her to say it, the word, the name, something. But she didn't. Instead, she said, "Do you want to know why?" No, I said, and meant it. I want to know who you became when you decided I didn't matter. That made her flinch. I did love you, she whispered. Past tense. She shook her head. No, I don't know. I think I still do. But I got tired of feeling like a passenger in my own life. You're good, you know? Too good. You make it easy to disappear next to you. That sounds like your problem, I said, more sharply than I intended. She looked up, finally, eyes glassy but not spilling. I know, she said. I know I messed this up. There it was again. The softening. The passive wording. Messed up. Like she tripped over a curb, not shattered something sacred. I stood up, not out of anger, but because I couldn't sit across from her any longer. There's a bag in the closet, I said. Pack what you need. Stay somewhere else tonight. Is this it? She asked. I didn't answer. The next week was a blur. She texted, called, left voicemails. Some angry, some apologetic, some rambling. I listened to none of them. I stayed in a hotel downtown, the kind with scratchy towels and perfect anonymity. I told work I needed a mental health week, and for the first time in years, I actually meant it. I thought about therapy. I thought about lawyers. I thought about the voice on that recording. Her voice. The version of her that didn't know I was listening. And then came the twist I didn't see coming. 10 days after she left, I got a call from an unknown number. The voice on the other end was male. You don't know me, he began, nervous. But I need to talk to you about Rachel. I stepped out of the hotel room into the hallway, my phone pressed to my ear, heart beating in a strange, unfamiliar rhythm. The voice on the other end cleared his throat. My name's Colin, he said. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't say anything. The silence made him nervous. I work with Rachel. Or, I used to. I was the guy in the Dashcam audio. The one who said, you should just tell him. Remember? I did. I didn't know you had a camera in there, he added quickly. I swear. I didn't even know she was married at first. She told me later. Said it was complicated. Said you were more like her business partner than anything. There it was again. The version of me she'd created, this asexual, emotionless figure in the background of her life. The man she didn't lie to, but about. Why are you calling me? I asked. There was a pause. She told me she was going to twist it, he said. That she'd say you'd manipulated the audio, that you were abusive, that you were spying on her. I didn't want to be part of that. I leaned against the wall, the cold of it grounding me. So this is guilt. Yeah, he said. Yeah, I guess it is. Another pause. She told me you were controlling, he added. That you watched her every move. That you'd make her pay if she ever left. I almost laughed. She ever tell you I was the one who made her tea every morning? I said quietly. That I did her taxes, handled the bills, took care of her mother when she had surgery last year? That I built her damn website when she launched her freelance business? No, he said. She didn't. Of course not. Colin sighed. Look, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For what it's worth. I ended things. I told her I wouldn't lie for her. Then don't, I said. If she tells people her version and someone asks, just tell the truth. I will. And that was that. He hung up. And for some reason, that hurt more than I expected. Not his voice, but the fact that I'd heard more remorse in it than I ever had from her. 2 weeks passed. I saw her once, by accident, at the grocery store. She froze by the frozen peas. I walked past her like I didn't know her, like she hadn't once fallen asleep on my chest, whispering our future into the dark. She didn't follow. She didn't call. Maybe she knew it was over. Or maybe she was waiting for me to make it final. That came later. The divorce was quiet. No fights. No courtroom drama. We split the assets evenly, though truthfully, most of them were mine to begin with. She didn't contest anything. Just signed the papers and left my office with a faint perfume trail and a glance that felt like an apology too faint to matter. I moved out of the house 2 months later. Too many ghosts in those walls. I thought the hardest part would be losing her. It wasn't. The hardest part was losing the version of myself that believed in her. In us. That man, the one who built a life around the idea of permanence, who thought love was a safe bet if you just stayed loyal. He died the moment she laughed. But something else was born too. I didn't become bitter. I didn't start mistrusting everyone. What changed was more subtle than that, like a new lens I couldn't remove. I saw people differently. The masks they wore, the little lies they told. And I learned to listen not just to what people said, but to what they laughed at. That's where the truth lives. The night before the divorce finalized, I listened to the Dashcam recording one last time. Not because I needed to, just because I wanted to remember how it felt to know, truly know, that I wasn't crazy. There was a kind of peace in that. Painful, yes, but honest. After that, I deleted the file. I didn't need it anymore. Some stories don't need to be preserved. Some wounds don't need to be reopened. Some endings are enough. People ask me now if I'd ever trust someone again. If I could love again. I tell them yes. Because love isn't what broke me. It was dishonesty. It was the laughter in a moment meant for truth. But I've learned since then, the people worth loving don't laugh when you show them your broken pieces. They sit with you in the silence. They choose not to run. And the ones who do? Let them leave. Let them laugh. You'll learn to live in the quiet that follows. And one day, you'll realize that quiet is the sound of peace.